Snow fell like scattered diamonds over the quiet Vermont station. The 8:10 train had just left, its fading whistle echoing through the cold air. Clara Reynolds stood on the platform, heels buried in white frost, clutching her phone as the screen flashed one missed call from her assistant. Her private jet had been grounded due to a blizzard. The roads were closed, and now the only train out of this sleepy town was gone. The woman who owned half a tech empire was officially stranded. Inside the small diner across the street, warm yellow light spilled through frosted windows. Clara sighed, brushing snow from her coat before pushing open the door. A bell chimed softly. Behind the counter stood a tall man with rolled-up sleeves, sanding a wooden frame near the window. The place smelled of cinnamon and coffee, laughter from locals filling the air. He looked up, his hazel eyes steady, kind. "You look frozen," he said, setting his tools aside. "Coffee?" She hesitated. No one ever spoke to her like that, as if she were just another traveler, not Clara Reynolds, the billionaire everyone feared to disappoint. "Sure," she said quietly. He poured her a cup, smiling faintly. "Name's Ethan." "Clara," she replied, still catching her breath. Their eyes met, a fleeting warmth in the middle of winter. The camera would linger here, on the steam rising between them, a quiet symbol of something neither could name yet. Before we continue, if you're already hooked by where this winter night is leading, subscribe, like, and follow for more emotional stories that warm the heart. Outside, the snow thickened. Inside, two lives were about to collide. The diner grew quieter as night deepened. Clara sat by the window, watching snowflakes swirl beneath the streetlight. Ethan worked in the corner, fixing the old heater that kept rattling like a tired heart. "You own this place?" she asked, her voice calm now. He chuckled softly. "Not yet. I just fix what's broken till it feels alive again." Something about the way he said it made her look up. Fix what's broken. She'd spent years building companies, breaking relationships, chasing perfection, and somehow, she had become the thing that needed fixing. When he brought her another coffee, his hands brushed hers. Calloused, warm, unpretentious. "You've got that city look," he said, grinning. "You don't strike me as someone who gets stranded often." Clara smiled faintly. "I don't, but maybe I should." Ethan tilted his head, surprised by her honesty. "Maybe you should." A gust of wind blew the diner door open. Snow scattered across the floor. Together they laughed, two strangers momentarily free from everything expected of them. Then, through the window, she saw him. A small boy running toward the diner, bundled in a red scarf. "Dad!" he shouted. Ethan's face softened. "That's Noah, my little man." Clara watched as the boy climbed into his father's arms, giggling. "We built a snowman, and I named him Mr. Frosty." Her smile froze for a second. She hadn't laughed like that in years. Watching them felt safe, human. Ethan caught her gaze again. "You okay?" "Yeah," she whispered. "I just forgot what this feels like." Outside, the snow danced beneath a string of Christmas lights. Inside, the billionaire who once ruled boardrooms now sat quietly, falling in love with simplicity. If this moment touched you already, don't forget to hit subscribe and follow. The best part of the story is only just beginning. The next morning, sunlight filtered through melting icicles as Clara stepped out of the inn. Her driver had called, the roads were still closed. Another day in Maplewood. Another day she hadn't planned. She found herself wandering back to the diner, but it was empty. A note taped to the door read, "Out fixing something again, E." She smiled, then followed the sound of a hammer nearby. Ethan was outside his workshop, repairing a small wooden sleigh while Noah painted the edges with clumsy little strokes. "Look who's back," Ethan teased, eyes bright beneath his wool cap. "I was just walking," she said, pretending to sound casual. Noah waved excitedly. "Miss Clara, want to help me paint?" And somehow she did. The billionaire CEO knelt beside an 8-year-old, dipping her gloved fingers into red paint, laughing as snowflakes landed on her lashes. When they were done, Noah ran inside and returned with something small wrapped in paper. "Dad says we can only use this once a year," he said proudly, holding up a little wooden star. "It goes on top of our Christmas tree." Ethan looked down at the boy, love softening every line on his face. He made it the year his mom passed. Clara blinked, feeling a lump rise in her throat. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Ethan nodded slowly. "It's what keeps us together." For the first time, she couldn't hide her heart behind meetings and deadlines. She saw in this man and his son something rare, something real. Snow began to fall again, soft and endless. Sometimes, love doesn't arrive in grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes, it finds you stranded in the middle of nowhere. That night, the town square glowed with golden lights. Families huddled around the giant Christmas tree, laughter mingling with the sound of a local choir. Clara stood in the crowd beside Ethan and Noah, the cold biting her cheeks, her heart unexpectedly warm. Noah tugged her hand. "You're staying for Christmas, right?" She hesitated, smiling faintly. "I wasn't planning to." Ethan turned toward her, his voice low. "Then don't plan. Just stay." Something in the way he said it melted every wall she'd built. Later, when they returned to Ethan's small cabin, Clara noticed the tree inside, humble, mismatched, yet glowing with care. At the top, the little wooden star shimmered faintly. Ethan lifted Noah onto his shoulders to place it. "It's not perfect," Ethan said, laughing softly. "It's more than perfect," she replied. When they stepped outside again, snow began to fall thick, quiet, endless. Clara's phone buzzed with a message from her assistant. "Jet ready for morning departure." But she didn't answer. Instead, she slipped an envelope into Ethan's mailbox before walking away. Inside it were gifts for Noah and a letter. "Thank you for reminding me what Christmas really means. You fixed something I didn't know was broken." The next morning, Ethan found it, eyes misting as Noah tore open a box of new paints and brushes. "Dad, look," the boy shouted. "It's from Miss Clara." Ethan smiled. "Yeah, buddy, it sure is." Days later, as Clara's car drove away, she glanced back through the snowy window. Ethan stood there, waving. For a moment, their eyes met, silent, knowing, infinite. If this story warmed your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Because sometimes, one act of kindness changes everything. But what if that wasn't the end? What if fate wasn't done weaving their story yet? If you'd love to see how life brings Clara and Ethan back together, maybe in ways neither expected, comment Part 2 below. You might just get your Christmas wish.